Assassin's Creed Syndicate is the most underrated Assassin's Creed game in the franchise. This game came out a decade ago, and after playing it recently, it still holds its own. The Assassin's Creed franchise has been going strong since forever, with the first Assassin's Creed, AC-1, being released in 2007. Since then, Ubisoft has been pumping out countless Assassin's Creed games that were hugely successful, starting with Altair, then Ezio, all the way to the newer RPG games. But one game in particular is always overlooked. I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Syndicate is the last game in the franchise with the traditional Assassin's Creed formula that we all know and love, before the series then shifted to the newer RPG games. But for some reason, people rarely give it the credit and love it deserves. There are certainly different contributing factors, because after the disaster launch of Assassin's Creed Unity and all its bugs, it put a sour taste in people's mouths, and Syndicate was supposed to save the franchise. And after replaying it recently, I genuinely believe it's a hidden gem. The game is exceptional in its simplicity. It knows what it is and what it's not. It has its own identity, and it doesn't try to be a massive RPG game like Red Dead Redemption or a heavy narrative-driven game like The Last of Us. Like I said, released in the fall of 2015, we play as the Fry twins, Jacob and Evie Fry. They certainly come off a little rough around the edges and chaotic, but were raised as assassins. The game is set in industrialized Victorian London in 1868, and let me tell you, London is beautifully breathtaking. The atmosphere is incredible, and honestly, Ubisoft did a great job bringing the world to life, as they always do, but this one might be the best one yet. The city doesn't feel bloated with fluff, and everywhere you look, there's detail. It brings to life the smoke-filled skies of industrial London and doesn't shy away from showing you the horrible things that were going on in those times, like the factories that are filled with child labor and the poverty in the poorer districts. We have the River Thames filled with boats carrying goods, wide streets crowded with horses and carriages running around everywhere, markets and trains, which is actually the base of your secret hideout, an actual moving train in the middle of the city. Also, this is the first game that introduced us to the dual protagonist system. We get to choose to play with Evie or Jacob, and Evie, who is the smarter of the two and focuses on finding the piece of Eden, or Jacob, who is the reckless, more chaotic one and just focuses on liberating London. Their personalities are reflected in their gameplay. Jacob is more of a brute and for those who like to create chaos and confrontation, whereas if you love stealth, then Evie is for you. Customization is deep in this game, and it allows us to switch between different outfits that give you certain buffs, upgrade different weapons like the canes, knuckles, and curies so you can deal more damage, and also acquire different skills from a quite extensive skill tree, with some skills that are exclusive to either Jacob or Evie. The combat is pretty button mashy. You're constantly attacking your enemies and countering their attacks and breaking their guards, but it can also be challenging at times if you go up against higher level enemies in certain areas of London. Now, don't get me started on the super cool animations like these. The gameplay has an added layer with the Rooks as well, the gang that you create and recruit to help you liberate London. And they can actually help you in certain combat scenarios and have their own skill tree as well. In the midst of all this, the game also gives us horses and carriages that we can ride on, which must have been hard to incorporate, but it does work. Carriage chases and the fight scenes are super fast-paced and super fun, and you can cause a lot of carnage on the streets. Now, this is an Assassin's Creed game, so we have to talk about the stealth. The stealth in Syndicate is very underrated, and is probably what I enjoy most about the game. The game has a stealth button you can switch into so that you're not always hooded and suspicious. You can scan your enemies with your eagle vision as usual and kill off entire barracks without them knowing. It really gives you the assassin feeling. Granted, the enemies are a little dumb and take a long time to spot you, but it's still smooth, it's still fun, and the stealth animations are super cool and are more varied, unlike some of the recent Assassin's Creed games that give us only one or two animations. The graphics in this game is awesome. Even to this day, it doesn't feel dated at all. Assassin's Creed would not be Assassin's Creed if you're not climbing and jumping off rooftops, and the wide streets of London don't really allow you to do that so easily. So, Ubisoft introduced us to the grappling hook, which is a smart way around this and a breath of fresh air. Without it, traversal would have been painfully slow as some of the buildings in London are massive. I'm surprised this was not incorporated into the later AC games. And now it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, it does have some difficulties like instances where it's hard to lock onto a specific point, but nonetheless it's still fun. The parkour is worse than Unity, but not as brain dead as some of the other AC games where you just have to press the R2 button and the character does all the work. In Syndicate, the player has more control with the free run down and free run up option that unlocks different animations. Along the way, we meet historical figures like Charles Dickens, Florence Nightingale, Queen Victoria, and various other prominent figures in London that help you out with rewards after completing their missions. And unlike AC Black Flag, for example, Syndicate has more variety in its missions. There's the usual tailing missions, assassinations, infiltrations, and even big cinematic train sequences that are super fun and very Uncharted-like. Although liberating London is fun, it can get repetitive as you're constantly doing Templar hunts, child liberation, and gang strongholds to eventually unlock a gang war. Now, we're this far into the video and I haven't mentioned the story because the game is not perfect and has one of the weaker stories in the franchise. It's very forgettable and doesn't really have any compelling villains apart from Starrick. I would have loved a bit more variation between Jacob and Evie's gameplay because generally it does feel like it's playing the same character, but apart from that, I don't have any huge quarrels with the game. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm curious to know if you agree or not. Is Assassin's Creed Syndicate underrated or not? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.